I'll jump right into a teaser. All right, so I have a couple of feature films coming up. Like most of the movies that I don't only do black movies per se, but they're just a big part of it. So I have a film. Once a guy came up to me. He's a really good writer, and he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I got 2 words for you: Cracker Factory." And then he walked away, and I was like, and he just wanted me to talk the sound. Hi everybody, thanks for coming. It's really cool to see so many people I know here and I haven't seen forever. I was saying to some people here tonight, the last time I was here in one of these rooms was literally, I think it was 1997 or 8, when, and I mean I've been to Truro since obviously, like 2 weeks ago, but it was for Black History Month, and I was reading a poem by Jude Clyke about, that was celebrating black women, and I didn't, he wouldn't read it because he was afraid to talk to people. He didn't want to do any public speaking, so like, can you read this poem? And then he tried to get me to read other ones. I was like, I want to read one, but it was really awesome, and it was so beautifully written. I'll never forget it. It was really cool. And Jude, I mean, I know we all know Jude, but he was really
Albert.
top-notch.
Oh yeah.
Top-notch guy. Yeah, my name is Cory. I guess we all know that, and it's really good to be back. And I'll watch your head. So I guess the point of tonight is most of these things are always set up a little differently. Sometimes I'm sitting in a chair and I'm talking back and forth with someone who has questions, and other times it's just kind of come and have a chat or whatever and show some films. And tonight, it's just showing you a couple of the films that I did and do, and talking a little bit about, what my trajectory was a little bit coming out. I don't like to get into the whole life story thing too much though, but just talk about what I do and the fact that most of my stories outside of what I do in Trailer Park Boys or what I did through those shows, a lot of my work was really focused on being a black artist, and not so much saying I'm a black filmmaker, but I'm black and then I make films, or I'm black and I make art, and as opposed to all the times I take part in it, all the things that I do have that focus, because and I didn't realize that until later, that I was actually so like black, but I was I did ended up being like that. Like I sort of knew when I started. I guess when I was a dancer, because some of I ran away to become a dancer, and I thought that was just the hardest thing in the world, and that led me into training in West African and North African and all of those styles of dance, which were directly related to breakdancing and capoeira and things like that. So I went off to study in Brazil, and then I went off to study in Africa, and I've been there. I mean, some people probably obviously don't know that, but I've been to Africa about 5 or 6 times. I got a house there, not anymore. I have a little place in Mozambique, but going down there and really finding out who I was from the source. And I was just telling someone earlier tonight that finding my niche as a lot of times I realized there were things I couldn't do because I was a minority, or there were things that people didn't understand. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go study those things from the source, and then they'll have to understand because I'll be a master of those things. And that's what I did. I found a real love of that history and folklorico, especially like Afro-Cuban, Brazilian, and telling stories that way. And I realized it was directly related to hip hop and spoken word and oral storytelling, which became a real thing. And that led into making films. And of course, we all know that I'd done Trailer Park Boys, which was, a group of us got together and created it. We were all sort of in a weird place in our lives at the time, and we didn't know. I was just quitting my band, and we didn't know whether we were coming or going, and we made this show that all of a sudden blew up. Hi, Norman. And then, of course, that really changed things for a lot of us. I guess myself as an artist, I never used to realize. I teach at university too, and I teach all over the country and all over the world actually, and I didn't realize that I was into doing that type of thing until later. I didn't realize I had done it most of my life. I was working with young people most of my life, and sometimes I would get thrust into positions that I wasn't ready for, I didn't understand, but someone thought that I was good at it. Norman, thank you. And then, you know, I became I realized that was something I was good at, was facilitating people or working with people. And of course, film sets are about 80, 90 people, and you work with different departments and a lot of egos. And I realized that it wasn't a fluke. I was good at doing that, and I was good at just bringing people together, and that was something I found really fulfilling. And really, it's just big manipulation, but you know, it's quite good. And I realized, you know, early on that being an artist meant it wasn't really about you. It was about everybody else, and then of course when it's about everyone else, it becomes about you. It becomes each other or the story. It was about servicing the story. So that's why I guess I felt I owed it to everything that I was doing. I owed it to get better. I owed it to learn, to study, to train. So I used to, like, you know, I think I lied myself into my first dance company. I had a resume, and I told them, they took one look at my resume, and it turns out that the person had worked with like 5 of the companies I said I was in, and they were like, did you know I was the director of that? I was like, don't you remember me? But you know, I got the job because of my tenacity, you know. But it was kind of like, you know, but that's what I had to do at the time, because I couldn't get into a lot of the places to work. It was hard being from Truro. It was good being from Truro, because Truro was a place where we all got better, but it was hard being from Truro in the sense that, you know, out there, it was a big world. So, you know, and it was hard to get into schools and things like that. So a lot of the work that I tell now, a lot of the stories or the films I do, am I logged out? No. A lot of the films and the things I do come from, they're directly related to my background, and we'll get right into it. We'll talk about other things. I'll show the first film. A lot of my work is satire. It's racial satire, it's social satire, no different than the things I grew up doing, no different than what hip hop is. You know, you just talk about a lot of things, or you comment on things, and it's not really taking a stance, but it's you know, you try to say something, or you ask some questions. This first film I'm going to show you premiered this year at the Toronto Film Fest. It's going to the American Black Film Festival. It'll go to Tribeca in April, and it's just starting to do its world tour now. So. I'm pretty excited about it. It also stars a girl who's never acted in her life, and she was quite good. So this is called Anatomy of Assistance. It's basically based, and a little bit of background on it is, when we were, I used to, you know, I knew everything when I was, like most people, when I was in high school, I knew it all, you know. So I remember we got money, we got the incentive to go to school, and I was that kid who was like, I need your money. It's like, I got all A's, sucker. You know, or I didn't, but I was like, you know, I got all A's. I'd criticize it, and I'd be like, and I'd come up with all these theories that you know, that we would take that money, and I'd be like, we take that, you're our dealers, you give us this money, and all we're doing is going and drinking. It was me that would take the money and drink, but you know, but eventually, you know, you figure out what it's good for, and it's sort of, that's one of those little, this film is literally about that. It's about somebody understanding, a youth understanding the problems in society at that age, and the misrepresentation, but it also shows a different side, which is a very vigilant police officer that has that sort of, that feel of, you know, this is what she, let's just say, she prosecutes black kids, let's just say. Here it is. With this idea, where I thought it'd be really cool to write a whole feature about it. And it's a satire, and I'm really influenced by old movies like Network or Blazing Saddles that really took over systems. So I wrote this film, and I shot, and it's in development, and Telefilm really expected me to play the part, and I was like, I'm never going to play the part, like I'm too old, and the guy I want, I'm sure I'll find a guy, because it's about a light-skinned it's a satire being very light-skinned, but it's also a satire on how race relations are in popular culture. And yeah, so they said you'll never find, and I found this guy who ended up doing a lot of films for me, and I knew I found my muse. Actually, I work with him all the time. I just got finished working with him in Toronto, but I knew he was going to be this character, and it's really cool. He's been selling this movie, so I did a teaser for it, and this will just show you what it's only 3 minutes, but it just shows you what the movie's about. It's actually the first scene of the film, so I'll show you this. So I love making films. I find it's the coolest medium for sure. It's hard. It's really hard to make a movie. You know, it costs a lot of money. I think that the Hard Drawing film cost $55,000 to do that, and that still didn't seem like enough money. Like obviously, like everything that was in that bedroom was mine. I just kind of up the right computer, my headphones, like it's pretty much like my bedroom still. Like grow up, Cory, grow up. Yeah, we find that the Cracker Factory one that was done for nothing. We just had to use the backyard of a place I worked at in Toronto, and but that's filmmaking. Sometimes you get a really huge budget. It's kind of crazy, that we fight for all this money, and it's just wow, thousands of dollars to make a movie.
Or do you get your money through grants, or how do you do that?
Yeah, sometimes if we're lucky enough, it's grants. Sometimes it's actually producing from. Sometimes we get our money through Film Nova Scotia or Telefilm, and sometimes there's donors, but most of the time it's grants. I tend to get Canada Council grants or grants from the province. I can't get those anymore now though, because I'm on the Arts Nova Scotia board, so I'm on the new Arts Council, so I'm not allowed. I gracefully pulled out of getting money anymore. But that's okay, that's okay. I want other people to get money, I suppose. Yeah, something. But when we get up into the million, I guess this Cracker Factory is the $3 million movie, and that's considered low budget. And I'm not really gonna make. I think I'm gonna make like $20. Yeah, I did it! $3 million movie! $20. Plus ride. Everything else I'd be like, I got this big check. Red mechanic goes, listen. Are you self-employed? Yeah, you can. Yeah. That's pretty much the story of our life. Sorry. Yeah, it's funny, obviously Trailer Park Boys and TV really helped me figure that out. Like I watched whenever I'd work in Trailer Park Boys, I would watch like a hawk. Like I'd watch every single person doing every single thing. Like I was just like watching the person carrying a sandbag, and I was like, I see how that your hand is when you carry that. And I was looking at the person who's fixing somebody's coat before they went on. Like I just watched, so I understood what everybody wanted to do. And I think that also, I had a sort of falling out with that industry when I quit the show, and I didn't want to do those things anymore, and it really helped with how I wanted to be as a director and how I wanted to work with people as an artist and what I wanted to do. So it's all really good. I think that Truro, what was I going to say about Truro earlier? Oh, I think being from Truro gives you a different tenacity than, like, I was like nobody I met outside of Truro in the film industry, because every time they'd say, you can't do that, or they'd be like, you're not supposed to do that. They'd be like, do what? I didn't understand etiquette the same way as their etiquette. So in that sense, things helped me push. But I'll say that one thing that Truro did here is that nobody in Truro ever in this, I swear in this town, nobody ever said you can't at all. And that's, I think that's why so many people from Truro have done well for themselves. Like a lot of my peers are doing really well. We've had a lot of, but I think people we're really, really good to us here as young people. So it's pretty cool, And then of course it's really cool when you get to come back and work in Truro. Did anyone get to, yeah, we shot in Truro this year. It was pretty cool. Which, like I say, in our trailer park in Truro, we took ownership of the show being shot, because we were like, it's based out of there. So it's that trailer park. So to us, we were like, that's right. So one of the things that I guess I was asked to speak about here was, what it was in my time as a young sort of emerging artist to be black here, or growing up as a black student, and if there were any problems or any things that defined it. And the best thing, it's funny because I've been thinking about it for quite a while, and I think that, or things like you were saying earlier, or things are the same here now. And I think that things aren't the same here, obviously for the young people now because of social media and how much things have changed, and how I think if anything things are so fast now. Before we were struggling, everyone was struggling sort of on the same level to understand things, and now we're all sort of trying to keep up with what the young people know or what are coming at them. And I think that now, if anything, there's a different. There's a lot of hatred online, of course, and there's a lot of bullying, and there's a lot of negative things, but the one thing there really is a lot of information right away. People are talking, whether it's bad or good, which are things that we didn't have that access to be able to just go online and talk. Like, we had to find people to talk to, or people had to come to us. And I wouldn't say that either way is better or good, but I'd say that it was a different thing for sure. Were there race relations in this town? Yes, of course there was. There still is. There always will be with every group. Yeah, with every group. Like we would, but at the same way we would, we young people, as some of my friends that are in here that are my age now, we would, we'd totally become a horde on something else that we did. But as soon as we saw that group get some injustice, we'd rise up for that. It's weird. Like we all just. It was like, we can fight amongst ourselves, but don't fight with all of us. It's a weird thing. And I say too, I realized at a young age that, and I think I don't know if we have very many young people here tonight, or if anyone has kids or kids that are about to go to school. The education system, when I figured out what was out there for me, money-wise, assistance-wise, whether it was bursaries or things like that, I really, really took advantage of it. And I thought I was doing something where I was like, I'm gonna totally take advantage of the system, but it was actually there for me to do that. So basically the joke was on me, and I was like, go ahead, use us. Smart kid. So now I work within that system, and we throw money at people, but there are really a whole lot of opportunities for us. I think the biggest challenge is getting the word out there. And getting the word out to young people in general about things that they can do. There's a lot of filmmaking opportunities now, especially since there's so many things. Kids, like young people now, can make better movies in their bedroom than a lot of us filmmakers on the field, and that's true. Like, you'll see young people do special effects and know that stuff better than things like we're just like. Takes us 5 years to still figure out, and we do it, and it looks like a bad South Park episode, and these kids are doing outer space and stuff. It's pretty amazing. I learn a lot from the kids I teach, as any educator would know, every day. And I always say that the teaching is probably the best thing I can do to be better, because if I work with, I work with 17 people at university in the theater department, and that makes me 17 times, I learn 17 times more than they do every day. So every time they make a really good choice, or I work so hard to develop some sort of exercise, they start doing things, and it's something I never thought of, and I'm like, well done. Next. It's quite amazing. So I get to hire some of the people I work with, I've taught to, which is always pretty fulfilling. This is coming in 1 minute, so that's good. So I'll show you Anatomy of Assistance, which is the one from TIFF, and the Richard movie is just started. Yeah, so that one obviously was literally, I felt that way when I got my first check in high school. And, you know, and Butch handed me the check and I'm sitting there challenging him on it. He was just like, you are one foolish dude, you know. So take the money, stop complaining, think about it. And I was like, I'm gonna go be a lawyer and I'm gonna come back and prosecute anybody that you give money to. I'm gonna bust you out, just show you what you did. But, yeah, so that sort of pokes fun on it. The way she spoke to the cop, that's how we did talk to police. It was sad, but we used to, people would be like, move along. We'd be like, what about here? We'd be like, you want to go to, like, what about here? You know, and then try to, hi mom, I wasn't that bad. I just, you know, I didn't went to jail or anything much. Oops. All right, I'll show you one more. This is the one, I shot this a long time ago. Not a long time ago, a few years back. I'm only showing you sort of the interest, the sort of niche film. So it's very black heavy, but that's good. This one, yeah, was shot here, and it's just one of those, another story that just kind of popped in my head. I thought it was interesting to tell it. It stars our friend Richard, and it still has the time code on it. So, you know, because it's just ready to be outputted now, and the mix is happening now, so it's a little bit unmixed, but it's colored there. And yeah, so I'll show you it. Here we go. For a year or two, so I think that, which, you know, or at least some of it. So that's my goal. If I could always shoot Truro, I would. I was always like, people were discovering it this year, and they're like, man, Cory, you should come see Truro. And I was like, I'm always shooting Truro. I am Truro. Get out of Truro, I'm there. Anyway, so yeah, thanks, Nora, and you know, does anyone have any questions about anything? Curious about anything? Yeah.
In anatomy and assistance.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of what you were thinking when you did that?
Sure.
Like, you did give some, but
Sure.
you know, she sort of two things reminded me, I guess.
Yeah, but yeah, I got in trouble with the producers of the CFC. They kind of wanted me to, they said, we need a better landing place. We need to know what she does. And I was like, no, we don't. Like, it's her choice, and I'm going to leave her with that. Like, I always refer to my characters as, you know, she doesn't want to know. It's up to her. And they're like, you're the one writing it. I'm like, she's the one that's deciding. So I think it's about, you know, it's about the choice. She left, and she did a good thing with the money. Also, she's getting rid of it, the burden of what it was that day. And I think it's her turn now to, you know, she got a bit of the humble pie, and maybe she'll learn something from it. I think she's going to attempt to do something with the money, but I know that she's not going to go spend it on booze. The reason why I wrote that for a number of reasons. I wrote it as, a lot of people thought I was talking about the whole welfare system, which I wasn't. I was literally talking about the institution of school and black students. And sometimes how we, and the importance of guidance as well. That everybody in there, every single person in that film is assisted, or there is some form of assistance. The boy is always talking about his dad. It's his dad who's giving him the tough love. His dad who's like, you're not going to do this. His dad, when he steals from his brother, is like, I'm going to tell dad. Like, for him, it's a family thing. And that's his world. For her, I didn't go into her family. I just went into the fact that she's riding on her academics. She's proud. And I think that I just sort of wanted to daisy chain what happens to money in our system, even with young people. So the idea that, and it was, you know, I took my feelings and I was like, why did I get so mad about this money? Like, why did I get mad at them? And I was like, well, it wasn't them, it was us. Like, I was like, we should have had, I was sitting there screaming about being monitored. And I was like, well, I was an asshole if I took my money to drink. That money was a reward and an incentive for me to stay in school. And maybe I didn't need it, and maybe I did need it. But how I used that was, like he said, it could be for, you know, so I don't have to work, so I can study, and I realized that later. But it's just taking a look at where, in a real daisy chain sort of way, where money can go within our system and within our communities, and how isolated our communities can be. So the idea that she spends her money on booze, that money gets confiscated, that money gets put back towards the system, because that money came from black people in our system. It came from everywhere. So the idea that you know, and then she's so desperate because this other girl, the cop, who's also trying to be an assistant, who's trying to go, nothing works, so I'm hard. I'm going to scare the bejesus out of these kids. And in fact, she creates a mess as well. She thinks she's doing the right thing, but she also forced this kid to, you know, or she scared this kid so bad that it backfired on her. So I wanted to look, just without saying this is right or this is wrong, all these little possible sort of whimsical ways that things could fail. And when she finally does the right thing and gives it to the guy she told off at the beginning, he's just someone that we ignore and goes and spends it on the booze. So in fact, it goes right back into our system. So all that money that we donate or put in, you know, it's not that we need to monitor, but that happens. It happens. So yeah, and I think it's funny sometimes. So I write it kind of funny. I almost was not allowed to put that ending in with them. They didn't think it would work, and I was like, that just takes away the satire. That's an after-school special.
Square over time.
Uh-oh. Okay, good. We're over time. Thank you so much, Dora and the library. Thank you so much, everyone, for having me and coming out tonight. It's really great.